Look like we back again. It's Thursday. Welcome to the No PC show. Hope everybody had a fruitful day out here. Tonight we're having a conversation about the shackles on your mind. And it was kind of brought about because I wasn't sure what I was going to do today, but I was on the train this morning and having a conversation with a few black folks, and it kind of really turned me off what I was hearing, because maybe it's because I've been watching Roots or whatever, but the belief that was going on, people were making statements like, oh yeah, well, people talk crazy all the time till they ain't got no job. Then what they gonna do, sit at home and watch Maury? And I say, yeah, that's what a nigga would do, would sit home and watch Maury. But a man would get up and go out and do whatever he needs to do for his family, whether that's get another job or start his own business. Now, there would be some other niggas, and those would be the people that may not support his business, because you always had this higher expectation of black businesses than you do of white businesses. And it's kind of a mind shackle type of thing that I've noticed. But we'll talk about that in a minute, because we're going to do our advertisements first. And might as well do mine first since it's on the screen first. I'm Richard Robinson, owner and operator of RPC Computing, located in Lansing, Illinois, 773-416-2955. RPC is your PC for repairs, upgrades, and consultations. You can actually look our group up on Facebook under RPC Computing to learn more about the different things that we do offer here. So don't run over to Best Buy, Geek Squad, or anything like that. Give us a try and then make your decision. Funny, one of the people I was talking to today was a new client of mine after he had tried everybody else. So I just couldn't understand, his logic. But sometimes you're locked into the system. The next business is King's Cubby Daycare, located 8825 South Colfax in Chicago, 773-437-5108. Open Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., accepting children 6 weeks to 12 years old. You can actually look up information on their site at kingcubbydaycare.com, and I'm sure they can give you some information there. We also have a new business. It's That E Photography. That's Aisha King. You can see her information on the screen for Facebook, Instagram. She also has a contact number of 773-329-7635. She does some photography. I don't have any of her work available, but if you're looking for some photography work, go out to her Instagram account or her Facebook account, and I'm sure you can see some things. Something Sweet, Miss Terry's Cakes, Cookies, Catering. It is what it is. If you got a sweet tooth, 708-781-5220. Get your sweets on. We have Rochelle Millsap, Remax Agent, 773-716-5541 for all your real estate needs. Give her a call. We have Kevin Character King. He has a CD out on iTunes and CD Baby called I Am Character. He also has a book available on Amazon called Character's Book of Poetry. I always share a little bit with you, so I'll do that for you.
I see new faces in
Check him out. Give him a call. Weddings, other events, shows. He is available. 773-364-0491. That's Kevin Character King. He also has a son who also has a CD out. The CD is entitled Sharif. It's got a nice little mix of music. I'll share a little bit of that with you too, just for your listening. And it's available on Amazon and on iTunes.
I know you want to see me go home alone. I'm done waiting. I know you want to see me go home alone. I'm done waiting. And this hurts so bad I can't breathe on my own.
That's Sharif, the album available on iTunes and Amazon. Go out and download it. Support that young brother and what he's trying to do here. I think that is all. Yes, that is all the advertisement we have for now. If you want us to advertise your show, we will gladly send me a card at the show 1965 at yahoo.com, and I will gladly put it into the rotation. And we also have a weekly slideshow that I run on Facebook, and I'll put it in there also. And hopefully you can get some business. If not, sorry, I gave you the free advertisement. That's how I'm giving back and trying to support. Hopefully, it does give you some business one way, or you can share the slideshow and send some business somebody else's way that's in the group. Tonight's show, really want to get into it, as I was saying in the beginning, and maybe it's me, I'm always accused of too much blackness in my life, which I don't know how you can be too black, but or is it always black? Yes, it's always black. Part of the problem is we don't say it's always black. We want to dance around the problems with black folks. Okay, we've been on white folks for the last two shows, so now we back on ourselves. There's a scene in The Great Debaters where Denzel is talking to some young kids and telling them about Willie Lynch and his mind control methods for controlling the slaves, such as taking the biggest, baddest slave and stripping them down and tying them to both ends of a horse and ripping them apart. This is what is happening in society now, where they want to make you an example, tear you down in front of your family. This didn't just start yesterday. This is a continuous thing in society, and it's done on so many levels. And I believe it's because a lot of us have no idea who we are. You've been spoon-fed so much, you won't even research who you are. This is Africa. See that green spot? That's Egypt. Egypt is in Africa. We started civilization. Everything went from Africa throughout into the world. Don't let nobody tell you different. That's not Africa. That's the Nubian village. That's one of the first pharaohs that you're looking at now. Look at the features. Those are black features. That's Nefertiti, the real Nefertiti. This is an image that someone else created. All these things that were found and hidden, that's obviously a black statue. We didn't put that black. all the images that you see on the walls of Egyptian pharaohs and tombs and buildings. Am I blind? Am I the only one seeing the black features here? Would have you believe that Egyptians were white. And I know where they try to slide it into. They're not going to tell you that we created civilization, math, sciences, astrology, indoor war systems. No, they'll hide all that, and they'll try to say that the Greeks did it when the Greeks invaded and took over. So all your philosophers that you like Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, these people are from the Egyptians. What we're stuck with here in society today, we're always trying to recreate our image, make it into something that is not to please other people. Why can't we be who we are? Why can't we stand up? And why can't we recite our history and not get a lot of feedback? Why are we so much against each other when if we were with each other, the world could be a different place for us and for our kids, and that's what I'm always beating on. I have nothing against you going to get your degrees or whatever you're going to do. Do that. Have an out plan. I want everybody to look this guy up, John Henry Clark. He's a historian. The documentary on YouTube is A Great and Mighty Walk. Incredible documentary. This guy happened to be around the Pan-African movement. He was around Malcolm. He was around Martin. He was around Langston Hughes and all these writers and dignitaries. So he's got a whole slew. He's passed on in 1998, as you saw, from 1915 to 1998. I've got plenty of his documentaries in my black room. I'm not a history teacher, but I feel that a lot of people are the way they are because we don't know our history. We don't have the pride that we need to have in ourselves. John Henry Clark said, and this is how he got started. He was poor. He got a job sweeping up around the library. And one day he asked the guy who ran the place, I'm trying to find some information about black people and our history. And the white guy looked him right in the face and said, I'm sorry, you don't have any history. Now, he could have walked away and accepted that. But he didn't. It just didn't sound right. What do you mean we didn't have no history? My people don't have a history. That's insanity. So that was the thing that sparked him to dig deeper and start doing research and finding this information. He was self-taught for the most part. He didn't even get his degrees until after he had been teaching, I think, 8 or 10 years. This is how deep this brother is. I suggest that you go out and really look this brother up. So one of the points I was trying to make today to the people, like, you can't take everything at face value. This crap that they got on called Roots right now, okay, it's entertaining, but it's not factual. It's not in line with the book. It's someone's interpretation. Why would we want our kids to believe that slavery has some nice parts to it? It didn't. There's no such thing as nice slave masters. You're a slave master. You're not nice. Period. Now they're trying to change it to immigration. It's not wrong. I don't want people to believe it's wrong that you want more than what these people are offering you. You're not an outcast in society because you stand up and say, nah, screw that. You know what? I can do something different with my people that's going to be more rewarding. I think the problem is you have to develop these things on the side yourself. You have to develop a skill where you can make money. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. If you don't have any skills, then you have to stay and work with that person. I tell people the time, that's feeling I ever got is the money that I get from my own clients. No matter how much it is, it's way better than what those people give me. And when those people stop giving me, I ain't gonna shed a tear. I'm gonna keep it moving. We've had those situations before, at least I have in my life. I had a house full of kids, 7 kids, and lost a job. Oh, it's a scary world. I ain't saying we was eating steak, but we survived. We kept it moving. I was already in school training for something else. Just like now, I'm always researching, always doing things to uplift myself. And we have to start teaching our kids this. We were all put in this condition by our parents because that's what they learned. Teach your kids this. It's part of the Willie Lynch letter. Once you get to the male and tear the male down in front of the female and make the female totally dependent on you, she will then in turn raise the kids a certain way where you don't have to break the kid. She will break the kid. She will put the kid in line, and she will make him acceptable to us. Even back then, they was tearing down the black man and trying to make him feel like he was worthless. And then planting the seed in the woman's mind. So we got this reverse of roles here in America. And we can't fault the women because we haven't had the opportunity, or we haven't put the things in place, or the people before us hadn't put the things in place that everybody need that would have benefited everyone. So now we got all these factions. We got factions that have went to school, became successful, moved out of the neighborhood, and I can't blame you for moving out of a rat-infested, gang-infested neighborhood. Everybody's got to survive, and so you got to get out of there. So it's no knock on people for that. But we weren't taught to build and sustain communities. So when all these other groups like, well, why can't the blacks get it together? I ask the same question. You drive through Chinatown, it's a ton of Chinese stores there. The money in the Chinese neighborhood stays 27 days. You know why? Because they spend it with themselves. I lived in the neighborhood and we had some stores that I just didn't go into. I'm not giving you none of my money because the way you treat us, the way you act. But niggas were still going in there. And I say niggas because that's the mentality, that you're going to continue to let people treat your kids anyway, treat you anyway in your neighborhood. Take your money from your neighborhood and take it somewhere else and spend it and call you a nigga. This is the mentality that keeps us down. Everything else is just a result of that. You live in a bad neighborhood, you get bad service, you got bad schools. Most likely, you're going to be a bad kid because your parents probably aren't doing anything to try to help you in your situation because they got to up themselves out of a situation in order for you to get out of that situation. I've come up through those situations, and you got to have a drive and a mental state. And maybe I was corrupted way early in life. Maybe I was at a time when I was a kid, I was introduced to Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and I was doing little dumb defiant shit even back then, refusing to stamp up and say pledge allegiance to the flag. And my question was, for what? You've killed our leaders, destroyed our neighborhoods, and I'm supposed to stand up here with my hand on my heart? No, I'll stand up, but I'm not reciting anything. Of course, I got in trouble because my grandmother was like, no, you gonna do what they say do. It's no fault on her. She was a great woman. She raised me in the sense of what she understood to be survival. A lot of times people try to say we're weak people. No, we're not weak because we survived the 400 years of slavery. So you can't be weak to survive something when someone comes in, takes you from your homeland, changes your diet, your religion, your God, and puts you somewhere else, and changes the whole nature of your being, the whole nature of your existence. And then they try to suppress it like you never did anything. That's why I encourage people, go and build your black room, get you a bookcase, start buying books, encourage your kids to read. I get a little emotional about this because it's irritating and it bothers me to my core. I'm going to give you some suggested books to read. That these are books that you should absolutely read or encourage your kids to read. One is the autobiography of Malcolm X. It's a little pricey. I don't know why the price is so much these days compared to if you would have bought it years ago. But I got the soft cover one and I got the hardcover, but the soft cover was $23. The hardcover was $35. Malcolm was a very smart man who had changed his life, put his faith in people that weren't in his best interest. He's dead now. We can't do anything about that. I think we lost. He had a lot of ideas that would have really pushed us to another level at this time. No knock on King. Sometime and even at the end, I think King had an idea. He wanted us to be integrated, but I think there was a point in time where we should have stayed segregated for a while for the reasons of developing ourselves and fixing the problems that were going on within the black community. Carter G. Wilson, The Miseducation of the Negro. This is one of the first books I bought and put into my bookcase. Great book. Read something. Encourage your kids to read something. See that shackle on the brain? That's what we're talking about. Unlocking all this stuff that's been fed into you and that you feed into your kids, and that you almost act like you're ashamed if you're reading anything other than the Bible. For lack of knowledge, the people perish. That's what the Bible says, right? Open this book, unlock your mind, unlock your thought process, start thinking differently. You know, we all fast to snap our fingers and remember all these rap songs. There's a part in this movie called Drop Squad, and they say, "Get your shit together, brother." Drop Squad is a great movie because it's about us as black people, black men and women who get jobs in these businesses, and some of these businesses, you know, the moral compass, it doesn't move at all. It's just all the way down, and we take these jobs going in order to sell to our people, and they call it marketing. I just saw an example of this weekend. I was listening to V103, and, you know, they're still trying to push to get the George Lucas Museum here, which I could give I could care less about it coming to Chicago, because it's not going to bring any jobs for us. I go past sites all the time. I was sitting looking at 3 or 4 sites today up north. I rarely, if ever, see a black person on these sites. So don't tell me, well, you know, you'll be able to get on these sites. No, you won't. They're pushing, well, if you get your business in order. Yeah, if you get your business in order. You need income to do anything in this world. I got a business license, but I lack funding for the most part to do gigantic jobs. So I'm trying to grow that. But you can't tell me that the George Lucas Museum, which would be located, I think, somewhere around the museum campus downtown or around by the McCormick Place, somewhere over there, is going to provide 500 jobs, and maybe 10 of those jobs, in my mind, will go to black people just to keep the quota. and you're telling people, oh, this would be great for Chicago because if you go right down South Shore Drive, you'll be in well, if you go down South Shore Drive, you'll be in the South Shore community, and you'll be able to do this, and this will be great, and you can experience this, and that's bull. I don't even think they believed it when they said it, but I know that's their job. Like in this movie Drop Squad, this is your job to get out here and convince these black people that we need this. We need to stop being convinced of BS. And there's so many of us now. We're so integrated. This works for me. Why would I change it? Why would I sacrifice anything when now I'm totally in here? Physically, you're in there. There's a lot of hidden racism that goes on daily throughout America, and I don't think anybody can deny it. And they don't try to deny it. Oprah's not going to deny it. Tyler Perry's not going to deny it. So it's out there, and the only thing that covers it up is political correctness. But this is the No PC show, so we don't give a damn about political correctness. See this movie, Drop Squad. You can probably get it. Eric LaSalle and Spike Lee put it together. It's an old movie, so I'm sure you can find it on Netflix or something like that. Another movie you should absolutely see is in this world. Let's stop bullshitting. Let's stop bullshitting. How about that? So just like I get on the white folks, I'm getting on us. I had a whole bunch of stuff written down here. I didn't even look at the sheet because it bothered me so much. The stuff that was, I probably hit a lot of it anyway. Oh, here's one point, because everybody wants to run this into the ground. Oh, well, we were all kings and queens. No, we were not all kings and queens. You can't have villages just full of kings and queens. There were different positions in different villages. If you were the son of a king, then you may have the potential to rise as a king. Anybody else rising as a king was very unlikely. There were hierarchies. We developed as civilization. Now, people get confused with Greek, and I only give you information so you can go out there and research it yourself, and you can say, well, then you can say, I don't know what I'm talking about, or this guy knows what he's talking about. When Greece invaded Egypt, this was like 332 BC. You have to understand that the Egyptian dynasty lasted 3,000 years. So it was like 3150 BC was the first dynasty. And you're talking about 24 dynasties later when this happens. So 3,000 years of an Egyptian dynasty used to be called Kemet. And I'm sure a lot of you all probably went out and saw this documentary called Hidden Colors. A lot of the stuff that's spoke about in Hidden Colors, John Henry Clark talks about. You can also get a documentary called Goodbye, Uncle Tom. If you want to see a real slave documentary, if your stomach can handle illness, Goodbye, Uncle Tom. It was filmed in Haiti. Very graphic, very detailed. Shows how homosexuality was introduced to slavery, the prostitution. It was a terrible thing. Don't ever let anybody tell you or your kids that slavery was not the most horrific thing that ever happened on this planet. That and the killing of the Indians. I don't want to hear no Holocaust stuff. That happened over there. They got retributions. That happened in a 6 to 10 year period. We're talking 400 years, and they don't even have a count of how many died. It's estimated between 65 and 100 million black people were taken across the Atlantic Ocean. You're probably looking at 20-something million that died during the trip. Now you're not even talking about the ones that were born here in America. There's about 44 million blacks in America right now. Do your research, people. And who knows how many views this will get, because we only get views when you're talking about other shit, entertainment purposes. I'm not an entertainer. I just try to share what I learn, and hopefully someone else will share it and someone will get something out of it. But the mind has to be free enough to absorb stuff. My Uncle Charlie used to say, listen and learn. Even though he had a bottle in his hand, it was still wisdom. We're going to end it because I know everybody trying to watch this game at 8 o'clock. Love, peace, soul. We out of here.
History is a clock that people use to tell their political and cultural time of day. It is also a compass that people use to find themselves on the map of human geography. History tells of people where they have been and what they have been, where they are and what they are. Most important, history tells a people where they still must go and what they still must be. The relationship of history to the people is the same as the relationship of a mother to her child. Around 1442, the first slaves would be taken out of West Africa. Spain and Portugal goes to the Pope, the leading arbitrator of that day, the one person in Europe with the greatest authority. The Pope would say to Spain and Portugal, you take the East and you take the West, and you two good Catholic nations start fighting among yourselves. And then the profound statement before departure, you are both authorized to reduce to servitude all infidel people. The slave trade now had been sanctioned, and Europeans had been told they need not feel guilty of it because you're doing this to an infidel who is outside of God's grace. England went into the slave trade with a vengeance, led by Captain Hawkins and the good ship Jesus. The ship was called the good ship Jesus. The coat of arms on the ship was two Africans bound back to back with their arms tied. So they saw no contradiction in being in the slave trade and being Christians at the same time. We cannot deal with this enough because we're still suffering from this inside of the mind of a lot of people in this world, into the millions. We are outside of humanity, outside of the grace of God. That's a terrible feeling as you walk the earth, because what has been taken away is your essential humanity, your human beingness. And when they take away your human beingness, they take away your nationness.